Brant, were you an advocate for the Titus Leo pickup? What's he considered to be as a special teamer?
I saw that he got picked up yesterday, and certainly any guy that's, especially at the D-line position, that can play. You see those big guys all over the league, and I think it'd be really useful if we had a big guy that could play a bunch of special teams, because those guys are damn hard to block and they're tough to cover, and so I think that anytime you can add a guy that's played before on teams like that, and there's numerous other guys that are doing a nice job, I think it's really beneficial to us for sure.
I think John Lynch said that Deebo is fully committed to returning. What does that mean to you? Is he now the kickoff return guy?
Well, it was certainly, when they told me that he was coming, I was like, hell yeah, let's go, because he's a difference maker, and he's obviously proven, and he's done it at a very, very high level. So I'm really anxious. We're all talking about it, to get him in our scheme, and I've watched him, and really liked what he's done throughout his career. Liked him coming out of college, and he's a hell of a player, and he's really tough to tackle, and he's got speed to take it to the house all the time. So. Again, anytime you can add a guy like that to the roster, you're jumping up for joy as a special teams coach.
It's obviously early, but what's kind of just your process for evaluating the two punters and what you want to see and ultimately making a decision?
Like you said, it's really early, right? But you want to put them in the pressure situations and see how they handle it. We're rotating days, and we're kicking, a little, trying to get more reps so we get more on tape, and, trying to do the best job we can at evaluating, and then we'll choose one from there. And they're both doing a nice job. Both have strong legs. It's just the consistency that you look for, and so that's going to be the key is how do they perform in the preseason games and things like that. And, just like any other position, it's all how they perform in the preseason.
Is there any difference with a left-handed holder versus a right-handed holder for kicker?
No, because it's all based off the kicker. They've got to line up the one way. So I think that they're both doing a really good job. Both are smooth holders. Both have had an extensive work at holding. So, and that's why we brought them here. They've done a nice job so far, and Eddie's comfortable with both of them.
I don't know how many rookie punters you've had in your career, but I'm going to guess that none of them were 27 years old like Jack Bomeister is. I mean, do you see, a typical rookie with him, or can you tell that he's had experience?
Well, I think he's very very mature guy. He's doing a super good job. And so both of them are. Like I said, I think that you go out and you try to find the best guy that you can, no matter what their age is, to compete, right? And because they're going to be relied on to help us win games. And I think that Jack is doing a nice job of competing in this competition, and I think that the longer we can see him, the better. Now, can the roster handle both of them for that long, depending on injuries and stuff like that? We're trying, obviously, you try to want to keep them for as long as you can to see him in more games and things like that. So hopefully we can do that.
Brant, the rookie Pauling seems to catch the punts pretty naturally. How do you see that competition back there?
There's a handful of guys, and to be honest with you, hopefully somebody emerges. I think, Cowling, Pauling, Watkins, all those guys are back there. Junior Bergen. So there's a big handful of guys, and hopefully they can make great decisions and catch the ball first and foremost, and that's what's most important. Pauling's got a really good skill set. There's a lot of guys that have good skill sets. It's a matter of can they make the right decisions? Can they block a gunner when they're supposed to? Can they let a ball hit the ground when they're supposed to? Can they go up and catch a fair catch it when they're supposed to? There's a lot more that goes into it than just returning the ball. But I think that those guys that we're trying to find the guy that has the whole package that we can count on every week, that can catch the ball and make great decisions.
How different is this training camp for you compared to last year when you're not sure what the kicker situation was going to be, and now you have Eddie who's entrenched in the position now?
There's a lot of things that is different about this year, obviously, but specifically Eddie. I think that there was so much going back and forth on what was going to happen and things like that it's good to have a guy that has done it for me before and for quite a while. So he did a great job last year and couldn't have, done a better job. So, he's worked on some things this offseason. I think he's come pretty far in quite a few things. He's worked on his kickoffs, and you can tell he's worked in the offseason despite getting his contract, and I was happy as hell to see him get paid for his work. He's worked a long time and stuff like that, but I'm really happy for the guy, and I think that everybody knows that they can count on him, and so it's in a good situation. But as far as me coming last year and being in the second year of the system, everything, all the schemes, what Colt and Ronnie do a great job of helping me with, all the schemes, all the stuff, they've been in that for a year. So where we are on punt team and our return schemes and everything are way ahead of where we were last year. And so, they have experience of all the situational stuff that I'm giving them. So it's, it's a welcome relief, that's for sure.
You mentioned Eddie getting paid. Did you have any moments of worry that might not get done? What was kind of like when you found out that got done?
I've lost too many in the past to not worry about it. So yeah, you always worry when, but you're always, as a coach, you're, my whole deal is I want to see these guys succeed, and I want to see them get paid, and that's what they're in the business for. And so, I've had guys, Jason Myers, and you could go down through the list that I've lost, but as bad as it hurts you, you're happy to see them, that they succeed and have great careers. And was I happy to have Eddie back? Hell yeah, because you know what you're going to get all the time. And so, plus he's such a good guy and good guy for the room and stuff like that. So I was happy to get him back. But anytime specifically you're trying to, one of your main guys is up for a new contract, you hope you get paid, but you hope you can, that you can retain him as well.
Eddie had talked last year about how he had not, up until last year, he had attempted tons of 50-plus yard field goals, and how there had been a lack of confidence from previous teams. Did he surprise you with his leg strength just because it hadn't been out there that much?
No, because I've seen him for so long, having him at the Jets and stuff like that. So I had no worry about his leg strength, and evaluating him coming out of college too. That's his leg strength is not an issue for me at all.
What is maybe difficult about judging punters in practice? You talked about putting them in pressure situations. How much can you really do that before you get to the games?
You're right. It's really hard to simulate, right? Because it's the game situations, and how are they going to react when it's easy to do out here on the field, but how are they going to react when there's 75,000 people watching you in a national TV game or something like that? So you try to put them in situations like the 2-minute situations and things like that. How good a holder are they? Whatever it is, you're trying to put them in situations that they'll be facing in these preseason games, and then you try to evaluate them from there. And then, when they do get the preseason games, how do they function? Are they super nervous in pregame? Are they super nervous when you ask them, hey man, the game's on the line here, we got to do this? And do they execute it when you ask them to? And that, so it's really hard to simulate that in practice.